Hello and welcome to the Super Important Show. Tonight's show, is your garbage trying to seduce you? If you're from Sweden, yes. Plus, you'll never guess what orifice you may be able to breathe out of next. Maybe you will. It's gross. Plus, would you rather have one eyebrow or would you rather go full Whoopi Goldberg? We'll debate and decide. That's just half of what we've got going on tonight. I'm your host, Destiny Dado. Let me introduce you to my two amazing co-hosts. First up, as sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti, it is Heather Jules Booth.
Now that's a good intro.
I had to do.
That's no one's ever used that as an intro, so I thank you for it.
Thank you. And put your virtual hands together for our special guest, actress and model Lauren Kneterman. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. You nailed the last name.
Awesome, thank you. I was so nervous, I'm never gonna say it again.
It's all right. You don't have to. Once is enough.
Last time.
Yep, I got it right once, and we're done. Hello.
And you did. That's a wrap.
Welcome, Lauren. Let our audience at home know about who you are. What's your deal? What's your story? Tell us about you.
What's my deal? Well, I am from Canada. And I've been in the city since 2013, so that's 9 years, which is too many years. I came here to be an actor, to go to school, and then I never left. They can't get rid of me. I don't know. Sometimes I do wonder what I'm still doing here, especially, in light of current events. Mm-hmm. But no, I'm having to. I really love being in the city. I am a core cast member of Shot for Shot with the Armory, with one of the lovely people here, and I love to get drunk and silly and do some bits, do some improv. There's all that. I got two cats. They might make a cameo tonight. Nice. Behind me on the chair. Oh my gosh.
There we go.
As if speaking of the devil.
On cue.
There she is.
That tail.
With her ass facing the camera. Of course.
They got to put their bubble on the screen. Yeah, they want to show you their bubble.
This is Jinx.
Look at
Hello.
Jinx.
Hello. I cut her nails today, so I think she's still a little mad at me.
Oh, okay.
But we're good.
They don't. That's true. They don't love that.
Heather, do you want to get us going? You want to do our thing?
Of course, absolutely.
All right. Get us into World You Crazy.
World You Crazy.
Graphic, why are you going so slow? That's so weird.
Okay, at least it was not just on my end, because I thought maybe my internet was slowing down.
My computer went wonky.
Well, speaking of things slowing down, Amazon's Alexa might soon mimic the voice of dead relatives.
Yeah, which is a thing you definitely want.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad that you're already saying that, because I read this and I was like, I have thoughts on this. Right, so here's the story. Amazon's Alexa may soon replicate the voice of family members, even if they're dead. It's a capability that was unveiled recently at Amazon's Mars conference in Las Vegas, and the development would allow the virtual assistant to mimic the voice of a specific person based on, get this, less than a minute of a recording, which I think is terrifying. Mm-hmm. They said the desire behind the feature is to build greater trust in the interactions users have with Alexa by putting more human attributes of empathy and affect. They say this is important to us, especially after the pandemic, when so many of us have lost ones that we love. And when we got to this point, I wanted to throw my keyboard because I was like, don't you try to be all like, oh, grandma died during the pandemic. Let's have her voice for Alexa.
Yeah. You know what else? You know what else I don't trust as a technological thing is my grandmother. So like, I am going to have significantly less faith in Alexa if my grandmother's voice is coming out of it. That just seems like it's guaranteed to be fucked up.
So they said, the idea behind it was like a child would be reading a book and then say, Alexa, can grandma finish the book? And then it would switch to grandma's voice. I don't like this.
Right. There's one use.
I don't.
Yeah. Lauren,
Sorry, this is Black Mirror. Like we've had so many seasons of premium television warning us about this thing. The fact that it's less than a minute, like literally, there was a Black Mirror episode. Right? There literally was a Black Mirror episode about like a person's digital presence basically making sort of like an AI version of them after they died. But that was based on like so much more than 1 minute. Like no. And you could like you could make them say anything. Like I do not want to hear my grandmother's voice, like, you know, saying the lyrics to WAP or something like that. Like somebody's gonna do that.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna do that.
Yeah, you're right. And someone is.
Right. Just make it be James Earl Jones, and that's fine. That's all I want. I just want James Earl Jones in there.
I mean,
tell me what's
that
going
would
on.
be entertaining.
Right.
That's enough. Morgan Freeman, something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I found out. So I was. Did you guys watch Obi-Wan on Disney?
I have not.
Okay,
I have not watched.
So the thing with that is, like, Darth Vader's a character, and at first they were like, oh, like it's James Earl Jones, but like it really wasn't, because like after the first episode where it was all like archival footage, there was a company called Respeecher, and their whole gig is that like they get a few recordings and you could play a person's voice back like perfectly. So like every conversation after like the first episode where it was archival is this Respeecher thing, which means that somewhere there's a person who has like a microphone that could just hit a button and sound like a perfect Darth Vader, which I was like, why are you not selling that all the time? Like that just feels like a thing that like is awesome. But they said like they're being very careful because they don't want people who didn't give permission. And I don't think James Earl Jones is going to give permission to everybody. But it seems like Alexa's basically saying like, it seems like Alexa's basically saying like, no, we'll just give it to everybody. We'll just like, yeah. No,
consent is very important in every aspect of life, and this is definitely one of them. And the whole thing being like, oh, you've lost your loved one, here's their voice. Like they cannot consent. No, they cannot. I mean, is that going to have to be a stipulation that we write into our wills now? Like,
right? Please do not use my voice. Yeah.
Brave New World.
Right. But Lauren, is there a voice that you would want to hear? Is there a person who you like, who would convince you, yes, I want to do this?
Oh man, I mean, like, I did lose my grandmother earlier this year, a few months ago, and that has been very hard. But if I were to hear her disembodied voice coming out of an Alexa, I would roundhouse kick it so fast. Like that's not allowed. Not allowed. I mean, I'm just gonna, go back to like recordings because like, she was a real person. She had a presence in my life and she graced this planet. And those things exist for me to look back on. I don't want, words that she never said, put into her mouth. I mean, when she can't consent to saying them, it's very weird. So yeah, there are ways that the current technology we have and have had for a while that I can hear her voice again at any time. I think though, in the realm of like, the whole public figure thing, like the James Earl Jones argument, like I could absolutely have, I mean, we just, mentioned Obi-Wan, but like Ewan McGregor reading me a bedtime story, I would be out like a light. There are voices I would love to hear. But it's the whole dead relative aspect that is, that's a no.
Yeah, it seems like they were going for what's the most like wholesome thing that we could do, but they didn't realize it's also the most creepy thing we could do. Because
it's so creepy.
Like having like some like pretty lady, be the person who's always like the voice. So it's like, yay, I like hearing that person saying things more than like, other stuff. But yeah, the family members are just like, I don't.
And the other thing too is like, the example that they use, like kids aren't fully. I know kids can be perfectly smart, but like if you think that they're not fully ready to like understand the concept of like grandma's gone forever, and then they're like grandma's gone, but her voice is in Alexa, like that could confuse kids.
It's such an important lesson to learn.
Right, they're
and,
gone.
and it's not, I mean, it's something that you can bring them into gently, but I think shielding, like we're, as a culture, we're very afraid of death. We're so afraid of death, and we like to pretend it just doesn't exist. It's a thing that doesn't happen and will never happen. And then when it does happen, it's just like all the more devastating. So I think we kind of need to not go down this direction. I think we need to, you know, spend more time being more comfortable with death as a concept. And, you know, children are smart. You know, it'll take a bit for them to get it, for sure, but they will eventually. And I feel like I don't like lying to kids. I mean,
Right.
I don't ever plan on having them.
I love lying to kids all the time.
Lying to children. Yeah, see, like, I'm like, if I ever want to have kids, I'm just like, but I wouldn't want to lie to them about Santa Claus. Like, how would I do that? And that's like I feel like that's one of the major points.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Kids, or maybe just me, are incredibly stupid. Because I remember as a little kid being like, hey, we don't...
Smart but stupid at the same time. You can be both.
Right. We didn't have a chimney. So I was like, hey, where does Santa come from if we don't have a chimney? And we had this, like, this was like back in like the 80s. We had this like stereo that was like a full like piece of furniture. So they somehow convinced me that, like, because it
like
looked...
a stereo cabinet.
Yeah, and so it looked like a chimney. It looked the closest thing like a chimney. And like he came to that, and I was like, oh, okay, I believe that. Even though there's no hole and there's no way that he could fit through it, and it's a fucking stereo. But I bought it. So my point is that your lies don't need to be good. They just need to exist, and little kids will buy it. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So you thought Santa came out of a stereo cabinet?
I thought Santa came out of a stereo cabinet for
I mean, that's a
longer than
cooler
I
place
should
to
have.
come out of than a chimney. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's just, it's
Like,
very hard.
Yeah.
You'd have to be very tiny. But he's magic.
Absolutely.
Chimney's terrible.
Like we had one with like the 5 CDs on like the rotating, you know,
nice.
kind of plate inside. So like
Mm-hmm.
it would just be fun to like spin around in that, like the teacups while you're waiting to go and deliver your little presents. Your tiny Santa.
And
Put cookies on them.
yeah, and for the record, for the Black Mirror episode you mentioned, Jolie and I have talked about that a lot, and we realized that, like, for her on social media, really 95% of what she posts are pictures of trees. So we figured that, like, it would just be like, you know, like a thing of her just being like, trees all the time. I was like, that is not a good representation. Yeah. She does not yell trees all the time.
No, I mean, take her to a botanical garden and you will never need to look at a guidebook. But other than that,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to move on to our second weird ass story?
I think we're ready. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Lauren, why don't you kick us off here?
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for? Okay, I get it. Well, so this story comes to us from the very, very sexy nation of Sweden, from the city of Malmö, which is how you pronounce it. I looked that up.
Nice.
And yeah, so what they are, it's got that umlaut. You got to get the umlaut right. So the city of Malmö, they are very eco-friendly. They like to be trailblazers in the whole fight against climate change and all of those initiatives, which is very, very admirable. But what they are doing is taking dirty talk to a whole new level in their latest effort to clean up those filthy streets. And what they have done is installed talking garbage cans that they give very satisfying sounded messages after you drop a nice little gift inside of them.
Oh my God.
You are rewarded upon throwing away this trash, and it's a sultry female voice, which is, you know, that's something we can ponder of why it's only a female voice. Anyway, so obviously they're in Swedish, but some of the phrases translated into English are, "Oh, right there, yes," and then "come back soon and do that again." And then, you know, we like feedback. So, a bit more to the left next time.
Oh my God.
We love feedback.
Yeah, if you think she's exaggerating the like the moaning noises, you're wrong. We have the video of it. Do you wanna play the video?
Please play that shit.
Yeah.
En gång till. Kom snart tillbaka och gör det där igen. Tack. Precis där, ja.
It does feel like if you throw enough stuff away, she'll reach climax, right? Like it does seem like
This is
One would hope.
amazing.
She's just edging the whole time.
that's so cruel. That's so cruel.
It's so you know what is cruel? She's being manipulated right now. I mean, you could go from that angle because she's not getting any garbage, or you could just say she's a very good actress. She's had to fake it one too many times.
Mm-hmm.
I was just thinking about, can you imagine the person in the voice recording that like got hired to do this?
I want that job. I want
Right?
that job.
Right? And like,
I
how
want
do you
it.
find that person? Oh my god. Brian in the chat
You-
says, "Nah, I'm
You
littering."
call some very some sordid phone lines. You pay a few dollars a minute, and you see what you like.
Joy.
So so that's that.
I
That's that.
I did not read this story ahead of time, so I'm delighted by this. I love this. I both love and hate this because it's ridiculous. I love it because there's a part of it that's very my sense of humor, and I'm like, I would totally design something like this. Absolutely, where I'd be like, do you know, we should just go ahead and do this. But then I think the part where it starts getting sultry and moaning is where I'm like, I don't think it has to go that far. I don't know. I could picture it more jovial, just being like, "That's right, stick it in me." But I'm a goof, so this makes sense. I'm a big goof.
Right.
Yeah,
if
a
you're gonna do
bit
it,
more of
do
like
it.
the frat boyish sense
sense
of the dirty talk.
Much
Yeah.
more. Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
But I think this is hilarious. And you know what, Sweden? Good for you. Good for you.
It says the campaign's intentions is to get more people talking about the dirtiest thing there is, littering, which is a quote, a literal quote from someone who's heading the initiative. Something that stood out to me is in the beginning when this started, they bought 18 of these talking trash cans. And as of right now, there are only 2 that still speak, that are still talking. And, I'm like, so did 16 of them just like give up and they're no longer giving vocal feedback? They're just like, hey, I'll take it. And then like, oh, Conan's on. Like, they're at that point in the relationship.
Trash can's like, fine, okay.
See, I just assumed that a certain amount had gotten like stolen by like real desperate people who were just like,
That's
I'm
my
just gonna
other
keep throwing
question.
stuff
Like,
out.
like, did someone take it because they were like, "This is cool. I want this in my house." Did it break? I don't know. Probably.
Like,
I
not
think
to
there
kink
was.
shame, but I'm
Yeah.
kink shaming.
You don't want a sexy garbage can in your house that every time you throw stuff away.
I mean, I'm a normal person, so I would do normal things with it. But I don't trust what other people
You
would
feel like,
do with that.
yeah. You feel like there are definitely people who would get into it. Yeah.
Get literally into it. I'm sorry. I'm running.
Brian thinks that this might have been beaten, as he says, like the Philly robot. I don't know what that is. But
Hitchbot. Okay, this is a story that is close. Okay, so it was started in Canada, obviously, where wholesome things begin. And it was this little robot man, and the idea was he was going to hitchhike all across the country, and they would just started by putting him on the side of the road, and he would be like, "Hi, I'm Hitchbot. Like, take me with you, and like drop me off." And the whole thing was to just see where he could be taken, see how far they would go. And then it actually made a fabulous journey across the country. And then they decided to bring him across the border into the United States. And almost immediately, he got beaten to death.
Yep.
So
because we've seen Terminator. and we know
That
what's up. We know
we don't have Terminator in Canada.
Right.
We only have like John Candy movies, and that's it.
Exactly. It's SCTV, John Candy movies, and that's about it. I know.
Absolutely. That's all. That's all. Sometimes Kids in the Hall if we're really, really
Yes.
nice.
And some Mike Myers movies.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe that.
A few.
I can't believe that. Immediate. I'm not surprised, but oh my god.
Right. To Brian's point, it was Philly.
Yeah, that's true.
Philly's gonna beat something up if it wanders in front of it. Like that's what Philly does. Like
Yeah.
if anything, it's the robot maker's fault for being like, hey, don't go to Philly.
Let's let it go
where's
right
a
to
great
Philly.
place to get this wholesome little robot being.
Yeah, it should have gone to New York.
Really work out.
Because New Yorkers would have either ignored it or just taken videos of it. No,
100%.
Yeah, but like somewhere in the code should have been like, don't go to Philly, don't go to any of Florida, be kind of careful of Texas, and stay on the main roads in Alabama, and you're pretty much like good to go. They didn't do it. So, do we want to anything else on the story? Do we want to move on to our third, also very bizarre story?
Also, no, I mean, I really enjoyed looking into this story because letting garbage inside of me and then thanking for it is something I relate to on a very personal level, a very deep personal level. So, cheers.
That's going to get us. I feel like that's violating our terms of service, but that's okay.
Oh, no.
What terms of service?
What are you talking about?
No, we don't have terms of service. We don't.
That wasn't enough of a euphemism for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just had moaning garbage cans, so probably, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
Justin, what do you have for us?
So, breathing is hard. We can all agree that sometimes when you breathe, you don't want to use your lungs. Sometimes you can't use your lungs. So don't worry, science has stepped in and tried to figure out how you can breathe out of your butt. Because I think we all knew that one day we were going to want to breathe out of our butts. So here we go. So
in a post-COVID world, we need it.
Yeah, you know what? We need it.
Right. Let me get my information up.
Can't wait.
Okay, so scientists figured out that like you can basically like get a certain amount of like your things that you need through your intestines, like through the walls of your intestines. They already do it with certain like microbes, give information, and things like that. So they thought, hey, maybe you can get oxygen through your intestines as well. So they took a bunch of pigs and they took a bunch of mice, and you're not going to like this.
No.
They deprived them of oxygen to see what would happen.
Nope, definitely not a fan.
Right. There was the control group, which after being deprived of oxygen in the way that they did it, died after 11 minutes. So the second thing they did was they took a tube and they shoved just plain old oxygen up the butt of the pigs and the mice. Those mice and pigs lasted for 18 minutes. So it's like, okay, better. Clearly they're absorbing some oxygen out of their bodies, out of their intestines. So then they did this thing where they basically scrubbed the inside of the intestines to like make sure there was like nothing on the walls. And after that, they shot the same oxygen up their butts, and this time all of them lived for the full hour that they tested this. So they were all like, I think they were all basically like, I don't know exactly how they were deprived of oxygen. I think it was like underwater, but I'm not sure.
We don't need to know.
We don't need to know.
We don't need to think about it. No.
So then they thought like, okay, that's all well and good, but probably like scrubbing the intestines of everybody who ultimately needs to breathe out of their butt is probably not going to work out like long term. So they found something called a perfluorocarbon, which would basically carry oxygen in that same way. And they said, okay, let's take this sort of like liquid with oxygen in it, shoot that up a person's butt and see what it does. And it turns out that for at least the mice and the pigs, it worked pretty much just like having them having oxygen. All of them survived the full hour. Everybody was swell even without the intestine scrubbing. So they're pretty sure that the same thing would work for humans. So anybody who's maybe like in an iron lung or in a situation where they like couldn't breathe through their lungs, they believe that they could basically like pump people full of perfluorocarbons, and they'll be able to breathe through a tube in their butt. So, are you guys excited for that?
I was thinking like fleet enemas, they're gonna make a killing off of this thing, but that was before you mentioned actually they're using that method to clean the insides. I'm just thinking about like what that device is gonna look like to wheel around, because like nobody likes to be in an iron lung, and sometimes you see like people with their little oxygen carts and it's going through the nose, it's going into their lungs. Like how is that cart being pulled? It's attached. Like are you going to be able to see where it's going?
It's going
like
in
a
the
little
butt.
tail up, just right up the butt.
I think it's going right up the butt.
I mean,
I think we're gonna
through a tube. The butt's probably not like just out and open. Like like it's probably like running up a pant leg or something like that. Like you'll never know.
There's a new market for custom butt breathing pants. Is
exactly.
About to unfold.
Exactly.
New cargo pants. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you fart?
I think you blow up if you do. I'm pretty sure you blow up if you do. So you have to be very
these are
careful.
the important questions.
So careful. Oh my God. Yeah, no, the conflicting pressures of the air.
Right.
It feels like it's a Ghostbusters crossing the streams type situation. Like you're
right.
Like
100%.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, how often would the butthole cleaning need to take place?
No, but that's the beauty of it. The beauty of it, it doesn't need to anymore because once you're using the fluorocarbons, you don't need to clean out the intestines and all that kind of stuff like that. Like that takes care of the problem of just shooting up oxygen. So like yes, you would,
one and done.
Right, so you would have to like clean the intestines if you just wanted to put oxygen up there. But if you want to put this liquid that carries oxygen, you're golden. You could be shooting that up there all the time. You don't need to clean stuff out. So like you're good. So like that's why, because science knew you're not going to be sitting around cleaning your intestines all the time. Like that's a step too far. Yeah, I'll breathe out of my butt, but I'm not going to clean my intestines all the time.
That's just too ridiculous.
Right, exactly.
Right.
I just Googled this because I'm like, I need to know more facts about this. And I didn't find necessarily great facts, but I did see the sentence. We looked at a model system to see if we could deliver oxygen gas intravenously. Thank you for appreciating. Yeah.
You didn't know that was a word until that article.
Intravenously, I did not either. Now I do. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did we bring up Vinny's comment yet?
Oh, I'm just about to. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I agree. I also thought about Old Navy cargo. Yeah.
It's a not quite the step up to the Gap yet.
Not quite there. Right.
Yeah.
Not quite there.
It's like
we
you're in the
haven't
levels,
reached that
and then
level.
the top level is, of course, Banana Republic, which is like maybe Bananas Republic.
Bananas Republic.
Bananas Republic.
Banana Republic.
Banana Republic. Sponsor us.
There you go.
I was trying to think when you mention like old people with oxygen, like with that thing, like the first thing that comes to my mind is like people at the nickel slots in Vegas. Like if you want to find people on oxygen, go at 9 a.m. to nickel slots in Las Vegas, and it's just wall to wall those people. So my question to you guys is, where would you find the butt breathing people? Would they be in Vegas? Would they like
or Atlantic City maybe?
Yeah, that's
maybe.
true. Yeah.
Like we said, levels.
Yeah, they'd be in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
It would. I mean, it would. I'm thinking. Because you're sitting at those nickel slots because they're going at them. How would you be able to sit? Would you have to be like something like standing up, like a craps table or something like that?
I think if it's going, I think if it's going like
that pun. I just realized that pun.
That was
my
good. That was good.
God.
Craps.
Because my brain was like, say roulette, but then I was like, nah, craps.
No.
There you go.
Your instinct knew.
I assume that if you went like top down, then I think you could probably sit. Like I think if you went like up to down, like you'd have the natural natural way of the tube going there. You know what I mean?
Running down the crack.
Right.
as opposed
Yeah.
to- okay.
Yeah. If you're going down the
I'm
crack,
not gonna
then
make any more gestures.
yeah, then you're not sitting on the tube. But if you go the other way, then I think like then you run the risk of like suffocating yourself from, you know.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have the possibility of
In that lifeline.
yeah, you have the possibility of autoerotic asphyxiation with it with butt breathing, I guess, which would probably be the most embarrassing way to die. I've gone too far. I've seen I've gone too far.
I think yeah.
No. I'm just picturing this because I mean, like, you're killing two birds with one stone there. Like, it's all happening in the same place.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Someone's
all right.
gonna try it.
Let's
somebody's gonna die like
yeah.
that.
Let's move on. Let's
My final thought is that if it's something that could get straight men to wash their asses, then I'm for it.
oh, every day. I am straight, and every day I do. Good. You will not believe how small of the percentage is of the population you belong to.
Ugh.
I mean, you're already in the shower. I mean, I guess the question is how often they're showering, but I was a crazy person in that, like, or maybe not crazy person. I say I'm a normal person, but I was like, during the pandemic, I think there was like 2 days total that I didn't shower, even though I never left the house and I wasn't seeing anybody. Every day I took a shower, I got dressed. I'm a crazy person. So I'm off the scale of these things, I think.
Yeah. Can't relate. Grease monster.
All right. Now it's time for our What the Fact segment. Here we go. Inflation. We know it's bad. Everybody's upset about it. But there was a time where inflation was like the fucking worst it's ever been. It was in Hungary in 1946. Hungary had this like ridiculous inflation. There was a bunch of bad stuff going on. The money they were using at the time was called a peng. 379 peng was the equivalent of about $379 here. It was, a similar kind of thing. By 1947, it got to be extremely high. So my question is, of these choices, what did the peng eventually become in 1947? Was 379 peng 35 billion peng, 15 trillion peng, or 1 trillion peng? I'll go to you first, Heather.
Well, I feel like C is not a real amount.
Okay.
1 trillion. I mean, that's like Dr. Evil shit right there. It's
right.
Like 1 trillion peng. Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with 35 billion.
Okay.
Because that feels like these are all crazy numbers.
They are.
But any kind of trillion just feels like that's like, wow. So I'm gonna go with A, 35 billion.
Okay.
True.
Lauren?
Yeah.
Are you going with that answer, or you going on your own?
I don't know. I mean, I was leaning towards 15 trillion because, like, I feel like the strategy has always been like, if you're not sure, just go for the one in the middle. So I don't know. But I feel like this might be the only ethical way to be a trillionaire, Jeff Bezos.
Okay. We don't have any answers from chat. That's fine. The actual answer is 1 trillion peng.
What?
Yeah.
That's a real measurement of money?
Yeah, they kept having to like make ridiculous amounts of more money because like it just became like they couldn't keep that much all in one place. So that started being like $1 billion notes and $1 trillion notes, and then they had like whatever is after that. I think probably like they just said, like the article just said 1 trillion, even though like there is a number that is like, that actually represents that, but they knew that nobody would know what that number was.
1 trillion.
Yeah, so 1 trillion. So that's just like just fake. It doesn't even make any sense. But that's how bad inflation was.
If this doesn't show that money is a fake concept, money is a fake concept.
Yes, absolutely.
There is not a trillion of anything. Fuck that.
It's made up. It's all made up. It's all numbers. It's all made up.
Question number 2.
All computer.
God, here we go.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
So Uncle Sam, as we all know, the guy in the flag hat, he actually got a second family member there is an additional part of Uncle Sam's family, and they expanded in 1920 to include who? Was it Auntie Sammy? Was it Brother Barry or Cousin Carrie?
What?
Yeah, this person existed, and you're going to be even more annoyed about what they did. Lauren,
no.
I'll come to you first.
All right. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say brother, because this was like a military recruiting thing, and they were, the misogyny of the days gone by slightly higher than now. So I'm gonna say perhaps it was a boy. It was Brother Barry.
Barry?
It's hard to tell what Cousin Carrie's gender is because that's a spelling of the name that I have not seen before. Yeah, I'll say Brother Barry.
Okay. All right. We got 2 C's in chat. Heather, is that going to affect your vote?
My vote was already going the same way as chat, which is C.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
All right.
I'm still not sure. But Lauren, when you brought up the point about military, I didn't think about that, and that made me think that carry means like it's going to be encouraging them to have guns. So I'm going to go with Cousin Carrie. That Cousin Carrie is probably like, it's your right to have a gun. So that's what I'm going.
Well,
yeah, that's what I'm going for.
I'm sorry to disappoint you and chat. You're both wrong.
No!
It is Auntie Sammy. Auntie Sammy hosted a radio show
I hate this.
where she gossiped about social activities and gardening so that women could be sort of feeling like they were involved with everything.
They were so uncreative that they had Uncle Sam and Auntie Sammy. They couldn't think of another name. Oh my God. No wonder we don't remember her.
Yep. It was one of those things where like every time I'm trying to figure out what the fake answers were, I'm just like, how do I come up with something stupider than what they already did? Nobody's gonna believe it, but
this is the most.
I tried to find challenge yourself to be real stupid.
I just need to shower after that. Like what she gossiped about social activities and gardening.
For your little women brains.
What tiny women brains.
Yeah, I tried to find like a picture of her because they didn't have a cartoon. It was just like some old lady standing in front of a microphone. I couldn't find any recordings, which I'm glad.
Like the ladies in The Music Man. That's
probably. Yeah, that seems accurate.
Lauren knows. Yeah.
Okay, so this one.
She's planning the ice cream sociable.
Yep.
This one I'm thinking Joy might know. Joy's in the chat, so she might know this one because it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle related.
Oh.
What was the name of the first female Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle that existed? There were a couple, but this was the first
Marketing.
one. Was it A, Mona Lisa, B, Venus de Milo, or C, Pearl Earring? Heather, I'll go back to you. I'll go to you. You know what? No, Lauren, I'll go to you first. But Chad, we're looking at you as well.
I'm just going to point out the misogyny, because all of the male Ninja Turtles, they're named after artists, and they couldn't think of a female artist to name the turtle after. It had to be a subject of a painting.
They don't pick
art. Don't paint. Artemisia who? Anyway, I'm going to say, Google her. She's incredible. I'm going to say Mona Lisa, because Pearl Earring just sounds too dumb. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Mona Lisa.
All right, Mona Lisa. Chat, we got a vote for B, Venus de Milo.
I think it's Venus de Milo.
What makes you think that?
I used to really love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but also I was like a little bit past once they started branching out into adding the female turtle, but I think it's Venus de Milo.
Okay.
It's not Pearl Earring.
Okay.
I will be very surprised if it's Pearl Earring.
All right. Joy's going to go with A. Joy's going with Mona Lisa, so we have 2 for Venus de Milo, 2 for Mona Lisa, and none for Pearl Earring, which is good because it is not Pearl Earring. It is in fact Venus de Milo. yes, I agree. Like, it is ridiculous that they could not figure out a female artist. I was trying to put like I was trying to put like a Renaissance, because I knew it had to be like a Renaissance person. I was trying to find like the right female artist to put as a fake answer, but it's like they're all too kind of obscure. Like they're not like, it had to be something that like was as well known, I think, as you know. Well, although like how many people really knew like Raphael? Like when you like really get into it.
I mean, how many of us learned who those were because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Like,
exactly. Well, like, okay, so Point just brought in the chat, she had boobs. This is a children's show, and they're naming a turtle after a sexy naked lady statue. Like,
giving her boobs.
That's why I went with Mona Lisa, because I was like, isn't this supposed to be PG?
But also, like, turtles.
Yes, not.
Turtles as turtles, just like the creatures don't have boobs.
They do not have boobs.
It's okay. This is like the Cats movie when they gave the cats boobs, and it's like cats have nipples, but they don't have like boobs.
They're down here. No,
yeah, that's the other thing. Exactly.
If they were going to be accurate with the boobs, they should have had like 6.
Right. They were all like, "Oh, this movie's going to be so accurate. We've given them real fur, but we
and buttholes
and buttholes.
I want to see the butthole cut.
They didn't
hashtag release the butthole cut.
Release the butthole cut.
Wait, wait, you were saying at some point they were arguing that Cats the musical was going to be so real?
Oh, this is like a whole thing that they put out about like the fur technology.
The fur technology.
They made the actors go to cat class. This is a legitimate thing. The actors had to go to cat class where they like acted like cats and walked around. I've seen footage of it. It's exactly what you think it is. It's like the world's worst warm-up, improv warm-up. It's terrifying.
I still haven't seen the movie. Like,
have you seen the musical?
Smoke something before you watch it.
Yeah, I've seen the musical, and I hated it.
So you'll hate the movie.
Yeah.
It just takes everything that makes no sense in the musical that you would be like, this doesn't make any sense, and just makes it worse.
Great.
Worse.
So as soon as I leave here, Joy and I will go watch it. Do I know?
Yeah.
No, that's what we're doing.
I recommend, there's an excellent YouTube channel who does, like, he's a music theorist and has a few videos about movie music, and one of them is called Why the Music in Cats 2019 is Worse Than You Think. And it's very informative and well researched, but it's also one of the funniest video essays that I've ever watched. It's very, very good. The channel's called Sideways, and check that out. It's all I'm missing.
To watch it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Do we want to move on to our final segment? Would you rather?
Oh my gosh! Yes. Yes.
Heather, why don't you kick us off?
Yes. Oh gosh, that's right. Okay. The question here was: would you rather have the power to turn invisible, or to shapeshift into any, and Dustin, you put this, human man or woman or person.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and say. But yeah. I find it interesting that you made sure it was human. We can't shapeshift into anything.
Right, because everybody's going to be like a bucket of water or whatever. Like, I don't know why I went to that. But like,
very Star Trek Deep Space Nine of you. I am going to I'll throw it to you, Lauren, as the guest. Which would you pick first?
I mean, okay. I like to, with these questions, I'm gonna like process out loud a little bit. Shapeshifting into any person, that is so powerful. That is so much power, because you can be anybody, and you can do a lot of good with that, for sure. So those are, I mean, yeah, because I could, be like, hey, I'm Jeff Bezos now. I'm giving away all my money. Hooray. Which I would do. But however, I am a nosy bitch. So invisibility, like shapeshifting into any person would serve the world well. Invisibility would serve me well.
But what are you gonna nosy? Like what do you want to sneak up into?
Everywhere. So many people that I would love to follow home. You have no idea. That for legal reasons that was not real. That was just a joke. I mean, are there things you want to know? Like, oh God, like, did you reading Harry Potter and he had the invisibility cloak and they got up to so many hijinks in that thing? Like, my God, it would be fun, but I could also just like eavesdrop on conversations. I could, see what, people are doing. Yeah. I would use that for evil. Oof. Okay, so that's tempting me down a dark path. Okay, so I'll say shapeshift into any person. Then I know when to say when.
Okay.
All right. Dustin, what about you?
Here's something I've realized about Would You Rathers is 95% of the time I go into robbing a bank as like what I'm going to use the power
As your co-host, I can confirm that.
Yes. Yep. So like I'm like, well, on one hand, it'd be easy to rob the bank with invisibility, but the money's not invisible, so you're screwed. But if you're the bank manager, you could be like, I'm just taking this money to wherever I'm taking it to, and that person goes to jail. So not you, because then you just shapeshift back into you. Yeah, I think the shapeshift, especially if you're using it for evil, I think the shapeshift into any person is still better, because I'd rather like it's almost a situation where like it seems like more work for the invisibility, that you have to be like super quiet and you have to like, you know, like sneak around and get open through a door or whatever, versus like just, you know, just like getting someplace and being like, I'm this person that I'm pretending to be, and tell me all your secrets about, you know, whatever, or I'm Jeff Bezos, or like, it just feels like a thing where you could always just sort of go wherever you want and be wherever you want to be, and don't have to worry about like being super quiet. You just really only have to worry about like that other person showing up and like them realizing that it's you. But like,
and then you have to kill them.
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna go with shapeshift as well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna. This is usually your spot, Dustin. I'm gonna dissent, and I would choose invisibility. I don't care about the noise, because I would just chalk it up to ghost. Like, I would be like, if a person was like, what was that sound? Wait, it must be a ghost. It's a ghost. It's a spirit. What? I don't know.
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
There it is. I think that you could do the same amount of good with invisibility as you could with shapeshifting, but I find invisibility less terrifying also. Like, I find the concept of shapeshifting, I guess it wouldn't terrify me to shapeshift into a person, but the potential for evil of people to shapeshift into you and like commit a murder, rob a bank, Dustin, like stuff like that. I guess I'm looking at it from that perspective and being terrified. Whereas invisibility, no one saw anything.
Right, but okay, but in this scenario for a moment, like, does your answer change if you're the only person who has this ability? Like, nobody else can go invisible and nobody else can shapeshift. It's so nobody could ever do that to you because you're the only person in the universe with that ability.
I still think I'd choose invisibility, because I still think there's a lot of things you could do completely invisible. Like, to me, the Jeff Bezos point, which is a phenomenal point, like shapeshift into Jeff Bezos. But I think you could also be invisible and like hack into things, or like Robin Hood Jeff Bezos or something, like steal his money as you're invisible and give it to the poor. I'm sneakersing this shit a little bit. I would choose invisibility. I also just think it would be fun.
Yeah,
because like I agree. Very fun. I agree. Like, the invisibility cloak was like one of the coolest things to me about the Harry Potter universe. I was like, that's cool. I'd love that.
I think the Bezos thing would be hard, because I bet he has two-step verification on basically anything that you could use to steal his money.
What if the invisibility, like, what if there's ways.
Okay.
There's ways.
All right.
I'm going with that. I'm going with invisibility.
Move on to question number 2.
You could hide behind him and wait for his 2-factor authentication. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
And if it's like biometrics, then you got everything there, baby. You don't gotta know nothing.
Yeah, his password's probably just haha, I went to space. It's probably some real stupid shit like that.
I'll try it next time I try and log into his email. All right, Lauren, you want to kick us off for question number 2?
All right, so the question number 2 is, would you rather have only one eyebrow or no eyebrows?
And I guess my question to you, even though I was the one who told you to ask this question, is: Are we referencing like just one eyebrow, or like one eyebrow?
Or unibrow?
Unibrow. Okay.
Okay. Ooh, and that's okay. That changes the way I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because if it's a unibrow, do the rules say you can alter? Because if it's a unibrow, you just a little bit every so often.
No, I think it
And
has to it has to stay. Like if it's a unibrow, it has to be like it has to be full-time unibrow.
Gotcha. Full-time unibrow. Okay. Both of them can actually become very like high fashion looks. The sort of alien kind of bleached eyebrows or no eyebrows is a big thing. It would be way easier to do drag makeup for sure. And yeah, it's very fancy. There is, however, a model who I follow on Instagram who has a fabulous unibrow. And she's like well known for it. So I think like if you can rock a unibrow, you would, game over. You're so cool. Like, I might. I mean, okay, but that niche is already filled, so I'd say no eyebrows because, like, the levels of eyebrow artistry that happen, like, the world is there's so many possibilities. You can draw on so many different types of unibrows.
Okay. So you're going with no eyebrows.
I'm going no eyebrows.
Okay.
No eyebrows. Yeah.
All right. Who do you want to pass it to?
I'm gonna pass it to you.
To me? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I guess I would go with one eyebrow. I already feel like I'm bad at dealing with this area, so I feel like I'm already like 3/4 of the way there, and I don't think that my face holds up at all for no eyebrows. I don't think I think I would be horrifying, and I don't think that I could paint in very well. So I think I would have to go with one. But I would go with no eyebrows if I just had to get rid of like this one. So if it was just like this eyebrow,
yes.
Then I would go with none. But if I could do just one long one, then I would go with one long one.
Yeah. Good points. Good points.
Joy is saying she's not cool enough to go no eyebrows. You're definitely cool enough to go no eyebrows. I have no question in my mind. Yeah. All right. So Heather.
I'll go with no eyebrows because I think you can still look cool with no eyebrows. Like, yes, it's a different look, but like think of like really pale people who have like really light hair, who have like they have eyebrows but you can't see them, and like it's just like they look super cool. Like it's got a certain look to it.
Okay.
And I also hate grooming. Like the actual upkeep of eyebrow grooming is annoying. So I also would hate having to deal with a unibrow all the time.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
It'd be so smooth up there. If you went swimming, you would be so fast.
There you go, right?
It would take off that 1/1000th of a second that would get you where you needed to go.
Yeah.
And I agree. All the artists
Phelps.
and all the artistry you can pull off of like not having to worry about like blocking your brows and stuff. You just go to town. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up to a new brow opportunity.
New eyebrow option. It'd be amazing.
New me. Absolutely.
All right. That brings us to our third question, which is my question, which is, if you could make one of these two things happen, which would you make happen? Would you rather create world peace or invent an antidote to all disease
Wow.
that everybody can live forever? Yeah, I went big this time. I'm gonna go to our guest first. Lauren, what would you do?
Oh, me. Oh, Lord. Oh, boy. The concept of world peace is just so wild to me. I mean, either way, you're saving a bunch of innocent lives. Disease kills. I'd say disease kills a lot more people than war. So. Oh, it's so hard. Oh, but I hate the military-industrial complex. Oh, God. Oh, God. This is so hard. This is so hard.
I know this one.
Oh, man.
I'm going back and forth with it in my head. It is not a fun one, but it'd be cool if either of them happen.
Yeah. This I saw in the chat. If we had world peace, we could, there are other. If there was world peace and we didn't have to pump so much money and time into the industry of war, we could put all that money and time into finding cures for diseases. So that is a very good point. Yeah, and I'm a big old pacifist, so I just like, if you know, stopping wars would be, oh boy, should I? I'm like, should I just give the Miss America answer? World peace.
Okay. Heather.
Yeah, I'm definitely going with world peace because I feel like I love the concept. Obviously, I would love to cure diseases. But what good is going to be curing diseases if we're all still fighting and trying to hurt each other and trying to like keep the little people down and all that stuff? I also thought if we had world peace, we'd devote ourselves more. We wouldn't have to worry about so much of this stuff. I would hope that with world peace would come an end to things like capitalism, all of those terrible, like, because people would care and they'd be able to care. And like, I just think we stop pitting everyone against each other and stop worrying about the military and all of that. I think that we would just be a more peaceful. I think peace is the way to go.
Okay.
And if Star Trek has taught me anything, that is how people grow. Was they had peace, and then like all the other great things grew. Also, they got rid of capitalism and focused on pursuing the things that they love, not money.
Okay. I feel like my reason for world peace is darker than your guys' reason for world peace.
What a surprise, Dustin! You're dark.
Just in the sense, because I thought about, I was like, well, like people dying in war is to some degree like humanity's own fault, versus people dying from disease is something that like sort of more happens to people. So my instinct was to say cure all disease, but then I was like, well, if we cured all disease, then there'd be a lot more people who lived, and if there were a lot more people who lived, then there'd be a lot more resources needed, and because there's a lot more resources needed, there'd end up being a lot more war. So you'd actually like essentially increase the number of people who were dying, just you were dying a different way. So world peace felt like it was the way to go, because to the point made, like, we may be able to cure more disease if we're not spending $1 trillion on military crap. And we actually just spend it on like research. So yeah, I feel like I got to go with world peace just because I think like the dark timeliness of curing all disease would potentially make things like worse in some sort of weird way. So
that butterfly's flapping its wings.
Right. So I'm gonna go. I guess it's world peace across the board. Chat was all about world peace as well.
Chat was also with world peace too. Yeah.
World peace.
Which brings us, guys, to the end of our show. Brings us to just saying goodbye. Lauren, thank you so much for being part of our show. Where can people find out more about what's going on in your world?
Well, number one, thank you so much for having me on the show. I had so much fun. I love to talk, and I love to hear myself talk. So this was a very good time. Like I said, I'm a core member of Shot for Shot with the Armory. So most Saturdays I am doing that. And the next musical written in 24 hours by the incomparable Leah Evans is Bat Person Turn on the Light, a Avril Lavigne jukebox musical set in the world of Batman, and I will be playing the role of Batman in that. So that's happening on July 30th at Young Ethel's, which I'm incredibly excited about. And those are kind of the only like solid things that I have guaranteed to happen in my life. Everything else is very up in the air. I'm flying by the seat of my pants every day. But y'all can follow me on Instagram. It's at Lauren Kneterman. And I don't know, watch my Instagram stories. Sometimes they're funny.
Cool. Heather, what do you got coming up?
Nice. I have a bunch of Shot for Shots coming up. I really need to get better about actually putting them on my calendar for this month because I haven't. But I think we've got Independence Day coming up next weekend. Dogma is coming up in a couple weeks.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I know we have the Bat Person musical is definitely coming up, which I do not yet know if I'm in, but even if not, I'm going to come watch because it sounds amazing. So yeah, all the shot for shot things.
Cool. I don't have anything other than this show coming up for a little bit, but I think I got maybe some stuff on the horizon. We'll see.
Nice.
And you can always follow Super Important Stuff on Instagram to find out who our upcoming guests are and other fun stuff. Or if you want to follow me, I'm at dd.o. I also take pictures whenever I go to I took a picture of my shoes the other day and it was fun, and people liked it because they were fancy. Yeah, and that's about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. We are off next week because of the July 4th holiday, but we'll be back. And we look forward to seeing you guys.
Oh, wow.
Lauren, again, thank you so much for being part of the show. And thank you folks in chat for being part of it. Bye.
Hey, thank you, chat. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.